Hey folks, we're out on another bit of birding. It's a short one again, as we're going to be back for Emily's birthday tomorrow night. So we're going to get like 24 hours in. We're heading to Cleveland to see, hopefully, Brown Booby, which is a very, very rare bird. It's a magger. It showed up there a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to go try and find it. And we may...
Hopefully it's still there.
Hopefully it's still there and we can see it. We're going there now. It's I don't know what time it is, about 7:45, so I've got a little bit of driving to do, and then on the way back we might sneak into another surprise bird if we've got time, so stick with us. Should be cool.
We set off and headed up the coast towards Cleveland. There were plenty of roadworks, but we finally got there and settled down for the night. We woke up early to a very windy morning.
Hey folks, welcome back. I hope you can hear me because it's pretty breezy here. I'm at Cattleya in Cleveland looking for Brown Booby, which is a bird that should be far away from here in tropical oceans, but it's been here for a few weeks. We're both up. Kaylee's behind me scanning the sea. I'm just about to scan the sea in a slightly different area. I've just seen another couple of birders, so that's good. More eyes the better. There's lots of other birds around, gulls and cormorants and razorbill on the sea. It's kind of cool, and some terns trying to fly past with the wind. Let's see what we can find.
As we parked and slept for the night right near where the brown booby had been seen, I didn't even have to drive anywhere. I just walked down to the water. As I was up and about early, there weren't any other birders about, so I scanned the sea to try and see if I could find this mega species. There was lots of birds about, like these razorbills that were on the sea. I looked out, looking at the key places this booby had been spotted in the past, like some of the numbered buoys that were out in the bay. The previous morning it had also been seen on the ruins of an old fishing pier. The only birds that were there at this point were gulls and a few cormorants drying off. As the morning wore on, more cormorants turned up to dry off on the pier, and also more bird watchers showed up also. Soon enough, everybody's patience paid off. Just as I'd walked off over to Kaylee and back, the booby flew across the bay and landed on the pier. All the other birders pointed out to where it had sat down. It was preening and drying off amongst all the cormorants and gulls. Although it seemed somewhat out of place in this environment, it didn't seem too bothered by the other birds on the pier or the cold weather. It did have to steady itself a bit with the wind, but other than that, it sat happily preening for a long time. This superb bird was really confiding, not at all fazed by the excited onlookers. Although this year, a small handful of these birds have been reported around the UK, some of them possibly being the same bird relocating. Despite this, there are only 4 accepted UK records of the species, which makes it a very special bird. This species' usual habitat is tropical equatorial waters. I believe the nearest breeding site for these birds to here is Cape Verde off the coast of West Africa, which makes this individual very far from home. As we were all watching and excitedly taking photos, a few boats were going past, navigating in the choppy waters. This boat spooked a few of the birds on the pier, causing the booby to fly off and then fly back to a different area of the pier. While this boat was near to us, one of the other birders spotted an Arctic skua flying in front of the boat. You can see it as the small dark bird on the far right of the screen. But back to the booby. The part of the pier it relocated to gave us even better views, and we really didn't want to leave. But we had to move on. There were plenty more birds to see. So we headed back to the van to work out what we were going to do next. When we got to the van, we seemed to have got a passenger. This beautiful moth was on our tyre, so we had to move it onto a wall so it was safe.
It's definitely a magger. We've had a brown booby on the east coast of England in cold, blustery weather. And this is a tropical bird. Bizarre.
No idea why it's
I know, but it was really cool, dead confiding. It wasn't here initially, and then it landed on like a derelict pier end. Stunning, with a load of cormorants and gulls. I can't ask for much more than that. I need breakfast now. I'm starving. And hungry.
We took a short 40-minute drive round the coast to Salthome RSPB, which is near Middlesbrough.
Hey folks, we're here at Salthome RSPB. There seems to be quite a number of different raiders here. A couple of days ago there was even a buff-breasted sandpiper, but that appears to have gone, which is a shame. Someone's seen a little stint, curlew sandpiper, and there was even talk a couple of days ago of a Temmink stint, although he didn't seem that yeah, he didn't seem that confident about us getting that. But let's see what waders we find. I've just seen a lovely load of snipe and little grebe. But let's head out and see what we find.
After a quick look round the shop, we took a walk out into the reserve, and soon enough we came to the first hide. Looking out onto the water, there were a few birds, like this pair of coot swimming in the shallows in front of us. On the opposite side of the water there was a Canada goose making an awful lot of noise. And on a bank that jutted out into the water, I noticed this teal preening. This looks like a male bird that's just come out of its molt. As this hide was reasonably quiet, we moved on to the next hide. As soon as we got there, we were informed of a common scouter. These are sea ducks, so aren't usually this close in. This bird was at one side of the hide and then flew to the other and landed reasonably close. This was some interesting footage of it being mobbed by lapwings, which is unusual. If you do notice though, on the little bit of bank behind the scouter, there was a golden plover. I didn't notice this at the time, only when looking at this video. This was a lovely surprise. Other ducks present included this shoveler and also this female teal that was happily dabbling right near the bank. When we got back to the visitor centre, looking out through the window, I saw this pair of little egret. One got a little bit annoyed with the other one and chased it off.
Hey folks, we're just about to leave Salthome RSPB. It's been quite an interesting walk around, pretty breezy. We got some stuff. We didn't get any little stints or any curlew sandpipers. All little ring plovers actually, weirdly, which we did have last time, but after talking to one of the gents, he said they usually leave around now anyway to migrate. So we did see some cool stuff, like we had a common scouter which flew right past the hide, which was ace. Quite a few other bits and bobs. A mystery curlew wimbrel, maybe. I think it's a young curlew, but we're going to find that one out later. We're going to move on now and see where we end up. No plans, so I think we'll probably refer to our birding app.
We drove out of the reserve and immediately stopped as there was a birder watching something. We went to investigate.
I've just stopped just down from Salthome on a little causeway that looks over the other direction of some of the pools we looked at before, and we found a little stint at a bit of a distance. Didn't get much footage because it was blustery, and eventually the little stint took off and flew away. But really nice to see, nevertheless. So, moving on now. We don't know where we're going. Keep with us. Could be a surprise.
We sat in the van and consulted our birding app to see where to go next.
We've done a bit of looking around, and we're going to go to RSPB Fairburn Ings in West Yorkshire. It's near Leeds. It's kind of on the way home. They have not just one cattle egret, but a collection of them. Recently they spotted 11 cattle egrets in one place, which is, I would say that's pretty much an invasion. So I think that'll be worth going to see and see what else is there too. I don't think it's a reserve we've been to yet, have we?
No, I think it's a good chance you might see one, you know, with there being like
11 there. Stick with us. This should be a spectacle. Hey folks, we're at Fairburn Ings, RSPB. I'm looking for Willow Tit. They've got some here, so I thought that'd be good. And then we're going to drive round to another part of the reserve, hopefully to get a load of cattle egrets.
The first bird we were looking for here was the Willow Tit. We took a little circular walk and ended up near some feeders where there was great tits and plenty of blue tits coming down to the feeders. Other birds included this chaffinch and some goldfinch as well. This adult female was being pestered by a young bird wanting to be fed. I think it was probably old enough to feed itself. Soon enough, a willow tit came into sight, just on some trees behind the feeder. Willow tits are red listed in the UK, which means they're declining fast, so we were very happy to see the species. On the walk back, we had lovely views of a dunnock sat on a fence, and also on the same fence, a robin happily chirping away.
Hey folks, we've seen willow tits, which was great. Now we're heading to try and find the Cattleya Invasion. I've just seen one land on a cow from a distance, so I'm hoping I can get slightly better.
It's living up to its name.
Living up to its name indeed. See if we can find some. See you in a minute.
Out on the water there was a great white egret, but this wasn't the bird we were looking for. We were looking for cattle egret, and soon enough we saw one sat on a cow. There were a few, some of them took off and landed a little bit closer to us. Some sat on cattle and some walking about in the grass amongst the herd. These birds are amazing. They are a real success story, not only in the UK but worldwide. They have had one of the biggest natural expansions of any bird species in the world. This is an old world species, which means it's naturally from Europe, Asia and Australia, but they naturally found their way to America and have taken over huge swathes of both North and South America. The first successful breeding attempt of this species in the UK was in 2008, and they've gone from strength to strength.
Hey folks, we found some cattle egrets. Some of them sat on cattle.
Found 7.
We found at least 7, yeah. I think
Don't
there
know
may
where
have even been
14's
more, but it was cool to see that many in one place in the UK. I think that's pretty special, really.
And sat on a cow.
And it was sat on a cow, yeah. Or sat on cattle egrets on cattle. So that's been a pretty good 24 hours. We've had a mega lifer for both of us. The Brown Booby this morning, which was amazing. And then we've had a whole bunch of other really cool stuff as the day's gone on. We have to head home now, though, as we have a 7-year-old's birthday party tomorrow.
Emily May's 7th birthday today.
Emily May's 7th birthday today. She's at her daddy's house and she's coming back to us tomorrow morning. So we've got a big party. So feel free to wish her happy birthday, which will be 7. And farewell from us. Thank you very much for watching. Please like.
Please subscribe.
And please press the notification bell. See you soon.
Bye.